Esme froze mid-motion, her shirt halfway over her head, as the door swung open without a knock. There stood Esther, her best friend since freshman year of college, eyes wide in the dim light of the dorm room, holding a forgotten pizza box. The air thickened instantly, a charged silence that made Esme's heart pound like it never had before, not from embarrassment, but from the raw vulnerability of being seen, truly seen, in a way that stripped away years of careful pretense. She yanked the shirt down quickly, her cheeks burning, but Esther didn't look away. Instead, she stepped inside, closing the door with a soft click, her usual easy smile faltering into something more tentative, more searching. "Sorry, I thought you'd be ready by now," Esther murmured, setting the pizza on the desk, but her voice carried an undercurrent Esme couldn't ignore, a curiosity that mirrored the storm brewing in Esme's own chest. That night, as they sat on the worn couch sharing slices of pepperoni, the conversation veered from safe topics like classes and weekend plans into uncharted territory. Esme had always known her feelings for Esther ran deeper than friendship, but she buried them under layers of denial, convinced that coming out would shatter everything. Esther, the straight-A student from a conservative Midwestern family, had never given any sign of reciprocating, always dating boys who seemed perfect on paper but left her restless. Yet now, with the accidental intrusion hanging between them, Esme found herself confessing fragments of her truth, her words tumbling out like a dam breaking. "I've been hiding something," Esme said, her voice barely above a whisper, staring at her hands to avoid Esther's gaze. Inside, her mind raced. What if this ruins us? What if she walks away and never looks back? The fear clawed at her. A familiar companion from years of watching her own family preach tolerance in public while whispering judgments at home. Her parents, pillars of their suburban Chicago community, had always emphasized traditional values, making Esme swallow her questions about her sexuality until they festered like open wounds. Esther leaned forward, her blue eyes locking onto Esme's. "Hiding what? You know you can tell me anything." But even as she said it, Esther's own thoughts swirled in turmoil. She'd walked in on accidents before, roommates, friends, but this felt different. The glimpse of Esme's bare skin had stirred something unfamiliar, a flutter she couldn't dismiss as mere surprise. Growing up in a household where emotions were neatly boxed and labeled, Esther had never questioned her straight identity. Boys were safe, expected. Yet here in this cramped dorm the lines blurred, and she wondered if her restlessness in relationships stemmed from something deeper, something she'd ignored. As the night wore on, Esme pushed further, her decision fueled by a reckless need for honesty. "I'm gay, Esther. And I think I have feelings for you." The words hung heavy, a confession that could either bind them or break them. Esme's inner voice screamed warnings. "You're risking it all for what? A straight girl who might pity you?" But the alternative, more years of silent longing, felt like slow suffocation. Esther's reaction wasn't rejection but confusion, a hesitant touch on Esme's arm, a question in her eyes. "I don't know what to say. I've never thought about us like that." Internally, Esther grappled with the implications. Her family back in Iowa would disown her if they knew she was even entertaining this. Church on Sundays, family dinners where politics leaned right, and a mother who clipped articles about family values. Yet the pull toward Esme was undeniable, a magnetic force challenging everything she thought she knew about herself. By morning they'd talked until dawn, no resolutions, just raw exposure. Esme lay awake after Esther left, replaying every word, the cost already mounting. Sleep lost to anxiety, the fear of losing her closest friend. Esther, walking back to her own room, felt a similar weight, her mind a battlefield of loyalty to her upbringing versus the spark ignited in that accidental moment. Days blurred into a tense dance of avoidance and stolen glances. Esme threw herself into her journalism studies at Northwestern, burying doubts in assignments, but every text from Esther reignited the turmoil. Why did I say anything? She berated herself in quiet moments, the inner conflict eroding her confidence. Society's whispers echoed in her head, labels like confused or phase, reminders that coming out wasn't just personal. It was a declaration against a world quick to judge. Esther, meanwhile, began questioning her own desires in secret. A casual date with a frat guy felt hollow, his touches mechanical compared to the electric tension with Esme. But admitting that meant betraying her family's expectations, the ones that had shaped her into the perfect daughter. The pressure built, a silent scream in her chest. What if I'm not who they think I am? What if exploring this costs me everything? Their next meeting was inevitable, forced by a group project. In the library's quiet corner, the air crackled again. Esme's heart raced as Esther admitted. I've been thinking about what you said. A lot. The confession opened a floodgate, leading to tentative explorations, late-night walks where hands brushed, conversations laced with unspoken longing. But with each step closer, the shadows of doubt loomed larger. Esme's family visit loomed, a weekend home that amplified her fears. Her mother, ever perceptive, noticed the distraction. What's bothering you, sweetie? Over dinner, Esme deflected, but inside she weighed the cost. Tell them and risk rejection, or hide and preserve the fragile peace. The moral quandary tore at her. Honesty versus self-preservation, love versus safety. Esther faced her own mirror, calling home and hearing her father's casual homophobic joke during conversation. It stung, a reminder of the divide. Yet the pull to Esme grew, leading to a decision that would escalate everything. A kiss stolen in the shadows of a campus party, where alcohol loosened inhibitions but sharpened regrets. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Esme pulled back, terrified of the intensity, while Esther pursued, driven by newfound clarity. But clarity came at a price: sleepless nights questioning her identity, the ethical dilemma of potentially hurting Esme if this was just experimentation. The kiss lingered in Esme's mind like a brand, hot and indelible, as she navigated the bustling streets of Evanston. It had happened impulsively, amid the thump of bass and the haze of party lights, Esther's lips soft and insistent against hers. Now, in the cold light of day, Esme wrestled with the fallout. Was this real for her, or just a fleeting curiosity? The thought gnawed at her, a betrayal of her own heart if she let hope build only to have it crushed. Esther, back in her apartment, stared at her phone, fingers hovering over Esme's contact. The kiss had awakened something fierce, a realization that her past relationships with men had been performances, scripted to fit her family's narrative. But pursuing this meant confronting the maw of societal judgment, the whispers in her small-town church, the potential ostracism from friends who'd assume she was going through a phase. Internally, she debated the ethics. Am I using Esme to figure myself out? The guilt twisted like a knife, the price of self-discovery potentially paid in someone else's pain. They met again under pretense of studying, but the tension was palpable. Esme's voice trembled as she confronted it head-on. What was that kiss, Esther? Because for me it's not just nothing. Her eyes searched Esther's face, desperate for truth amid the fear of rejection. Inside, Esme's thoughts raced. I've waited so long for this, but at what cost? Coming out to myself was hard enough. Dragging someone else into my chaos feels selfish. Esther hesitated, then reached for Esme's hand. It was real. Scary but real. I've never felt this way with anyone. The admission was a leap, one that exposed her to the vulnerabilities she'd always avoided. But as they talked, the conversation unearthed deeper conflicts. Esther confessed her family's rigid views, how her brother had once been cut off for dating outside their faith. If they find out about us, it'll destroy them and me. Esme nodded, her own family pressures mirroring Esther's. Her parents, successful lawyers in the suburbs, prided themselves on open-mindedness, but Esme knew the limits. A cousin's coming out had been met with polite distance, family gatherings awkward and sparse. The thought of bringing Esther home as more than a friend sent waves of anxiety crashing over her. What if they see through me? What if their love turns to disappointment? As their relationship deepened in secret, stolen moments in coffee shops, walks along Lake Michigan where they could hold hands away from prying eyes, the external pressures mounted. Esme's roommate, a well-meaning but gossipy type, started asking questions. You two seem awfully close lately. The insinuation forced Esme into lies, each one a small betrayal of her authenticity, chipping away at her self-worth. Esther faced a more direct confrontation when her ex-boyfriend, Mark, cornered her after class. Heard you're hanging out with that girl a lot. What's going on? His tone was laced with jealousy and suspicion, a reminder of the heteronormative world she'd inhabited. Denying it felt like cowardice, admitting it risky. Inside, Esther's mind churned. Am I ready to burn bridges for this? The decision to cut Mark off was her first real sacrifice, the loneliness that followed a bitter pill. The turning point came during a weekend getaway to a cabin in Wisconsin, a bold move to escape the city's eyes. There, amid the quiet woods, they allowed vulnerability to surface. Esme shared her childhood fears, how she'd crushed on girls in high school but dated boys to fit in. "Every lie I told myself cost a piece of my soul," she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. Esther opened up about her own suppressed doubts, the nights she'd wondered why intimacy with men felt obligatory rather than desired. "I thought it was normal to feel empty. Now I see it was denial. But the intimacy brought new fears. What if this is just rebellion?" The moral weight pressed on her. Betraying her family's trust for personal happiness felt selfish, yet staying true to a lie was equally damning. Returning to campus, reality intruded harshly. Esme's mother called unexpectedly, inviting her home for a family event. "Bring a friend if you want," she said casually, but Esme heard the unspoken expectation, a male friend. The dilemma tore at her. Go alone and maintain the facade, or risk everything by bringing Esther. Esther, overhearing, pushed for honesty. "We can't hide forever." But her own hypocrisy stung. She hadn't told her parents anything. The argument that ensued was their first real fight, words sharp as blades. "You're asking me to out myself while you stay safe in the closet?" Esme accused, her voice breaking. The hurt lingered, a rift that widened with silence. Esme retreated into isolation, questioning every decision. Was love worth this pain? The societal mirror reflected back judgment. News stories of discrimination, friends' casual slurs, amplifying her inner turmoil. The phone call to Esther's parents was a grenade she pulled the pin on without fully grasping the blast radius. "Mom, Dad, there's something I need to tell you," she began, her voice steady despite the quake in her chest. She sat on her bed, Esme's encouraging text glowing on her screen, a lifeline in the storm. But as she uttered the words, "I'm seeing someone," a woman, the line went silent, then exploded with her mother's tears and her father's terse questions. "Who is she? Is this some college phase?" Her father's voice boomed, laced with disbelief and anger. Esther's mind reeled. "This is the price, my family's heartbreak for my truth." The call ended with warnings. "Think about what this means for your future." The rejection stung deeper than anticipated, a wound that festered as she hung up, tears streaming. Had she betrayed them or freed herself? Esme, waiting anxiously in her dorm, rushed over when Esther texted. Holding her as she sobbed, Esme whispered reassurances, but inside guilt gnawed. "I pushed her into this. Now she's paying the cost I feared for myself." Their embrace was a fragile anchor, but the revelation rippled outward, forcing Esme to confront her own inaction. The next day, Esme decided to mirror Esther's courage. At the family dinner in Oak Park, she sat across from her parents, heart hammering. "Mom, Dad, I'm gay. And I'm in love with my best friend, Esther." The words tumbled out, a shockwave that silenced the table. Her mother's fork clattered, her father's face hardened. "We raised you better than this," he said, his voice cold, echoing the conservative undercurrents she'd always sensed. The argument that followed was brutal, accusations of influence, pleas to think of the family reputation. Esme's inner voice screamed. This is the damage love inflicts. Why fight for something that tears everything apart? She left in tears, the door slamming like a finality, the cost manifesting as a severed connection to her roots. Back on campus, the couple clung to each other amid the fallout. Whispers followed them. Classmates staring, friends distancing. A former mutual acquaintance confronted Esther in the quad. "You're throwing away your life for this?" The words echoed societal disdain, amplifying Esther's doubts. "Am I strong enough to withstand this?" Esme faced her own betrayal when her roommate outed her to a study group, turning support into judgment. "I thought you were normal," one said casually, the sting a reminder of pervasive prejudice. Inside, Esme questioned the ethics of their relationship. Is pursuing happiness worth the collateral damage to others? As tensions escalated, a pivotal confrontation arose at a campus LGBTQ event. Esther, emboldened, attended with Esme, but ran into her brother, visiting unexpectedly. His reaction was explosive. "You're disgusting. Mom and Dad are devastated." The public scene drew eyes, humiliation burning through Esther. She lashed out at Esme later. "This is all because of you." The accusation cut deep, a crack in their foundation. Esme retreated, spending nights alone, her thoughts a torrent. Love shouldn't require this much sacrifice. The moral quandary intensified. Was their bond a beacon of authenticity or a selfish indulgence? Esther, regretting her words, sought reconciliation, but the damage lingered. She threw herself into activism, joining a support group, where stories of similar struggles fueled her resolve. Yet, each meeting highlighted the price: lost friendships, strained careers. Is it worth it? She asked herself, the answer wavering. A turning point came during a heated debate with Esme. "We can't keep hurting like this," Esme said, voice raw. "Maybe we need space." The suggestion was a dagger, but Esther countered. Space means giving in to them, to society. The standoff revealed their differing approaches. Esme's caution versus Esther's defiance, each paying an emotional currency. External pressures peaked when Esme's father emailed, demanding she get help or face financial cutoff. The threat loomed, a test of her priorities. Education and stability versus love. Esther faced similar from home, her mother's ultimatum: come home straight or don't come at all. In the quiet aftermath, they chose to fight together. But the choices bred resentment. Esme skipped classes, her grades slipping, the cost of distraction evident. Esther isolated from old friends, the loneliness a heavy toll. The ultimatum from Esther's family crystallized into action. A surprise visit to campus, her parents arriving unannounced, faces etched with determination. "We're here to talk sense into you," her father declared in the coffee shop where they met, his voice low but firm. Esther sat rigid, Esme by her side for support, the air thick with confrontation. "You don't understand," Esther pleaded, her words a desperate bridge over the chasm. "This is who I am." But her mother's tears and accusations, "You've been brainwashed," shattered any hope. The meeting ended in stalemate, her parents leaving with warnings of disinheritance. Inside, Esther crumbled. "I've lost my family for love. Is this the right choice or a tragic mistake?" Esme, witnessing the pain, felt her own resolve waver. Back in their shared space, a borrowed apartment off campus, the silence was oppressive. "I can't watch you suffer like this," Esme confessed, her voice breaking. Her thoughts swirled. Am I the cause? The ethical weight pressed. Loving someone shouldn't destroy them. The rift deepened when Esme received an anonymous threat online, a message laced with hate. "Freaks like you don't belong here." The cyber attack, traced to a fringe group, amplified societal backlash, forcing Esme into paranoia. She questioned everything. Why expose ourselves to this venom? The decision to go public had seemed empowering, but now it felt reckless. Esther, fueled by anger, pushed for more visibility, posting about their relationship on social media, a defiant act. "We won't hide," she declared. But the responses were mixed. Support from allies, vitriol from strangers. A particularly vicious comment from an old friend triggered Esther's breakdown. "You're a disappointment." The betrayal stung, a reminder of lost connections. In the midst of chaos, a moral crossroads emerged. Esme discovered Esther had lied about a past fling with a woman in high school, a secret kept to protect Esme's feelings. The revelation sparked fury. "How can I trust you?" Esme yelled, the argument escalating into a night of accusations. Inside, Esme grappled. Forgiveness or self-protection? The damage eroded their trust, each word a costly blow. Esther defended herself. "I was scared. Just like you." But the lie exposed her flaws, the price of vulnerability paid in fractured intimacy. They separated briefly, Esme crashing with a friend, the solitude amplifying her inner conflict. Love demands truth, but truth brings pain. Is this cycle worth enduring? Reconciliation came tentatively, a phone call in the dead of night. "I need you," Esther whispered, her voice raw. They met at dawn by the lake, apologies flowing like the water. But healing was slow, shadowed by ongoing pressures. Esme's job interview at a local paper went south when the editor, sensing her distraction, passed her over. The professional setback was a direct cost. Her dreams deferred for emotional turmoil. Esther faced academic probation, her focus shattered by family drama. I can't do this alone, she admitted to Esme, the vulnerability a step toward unity. Yet, unity meant shared sacrifices, skipping holidays, building a chosen family amid rejection. A climactic confrontation arose at a protest against anti-LGBTQ legislation in Chicago. They attended together, chants filling the air, but violence erupted, counter-protesters clashing. Esme shoved to the ground. The physical bruise paled against the emotional one. This is the world we're fighting. Esther pulled her away, fear etched on her face. What if we lose each other to this? The incident forced introspection. Esme, nursing her wounds, pondered the bigger picture. Society's chains bind us, but breaking them requires blood. The moral ambiguity haunted her. Was activism heroism or hubris? Esther, bandaging Esme's arm, vowed change. We'll be smarter, stronger. But vows couldn't erase the toll: sleepless nights, therapy sessions they couldn't afford. The relationship evolved, deeper but scarred, each decision a calculated risk. As external allies emerged, a supportive professor, a queer community group, their isolation eased slightly. Yet, the core conflicts persisted, high stakes demanding constant vigilance. The breaking point arrived disguised as an opportunity. Esther's scholarship offered to study abroad in London, a dream she'd chased before their worlds collided. It's a chance to start fresh, she said, holding the letter, her eyes conflicted. Esme stared, heart sinking. This is the ultimate test: stay and fight, or flee the pain. Inside, Esther battled. Accepting means abandoning Esme. Rejecting means sacrificing my future. The ethical dilemma was stark. Personal growth versus relational loyalty. Her family's renewed pleas echoed. Come home, fix this. The pull tore at her, the price of indecision manifesting as anxiety attacks. Esme, sensing the shift, confronted her. If you go, what happens to us? The question hung laden with fear. Her thoughts raced. I've given so much. Losing her now would invalidate it all. But forcing her to stay felt manipulative, a betrayal of love's freedom. The argument that followed was their most visceral, words weaponized by exhaustion. You're running away, Esme accused. Esther shot back. And you're trapping me here in misery. The hurt festered, leading to a temporary split. Days of no contact, each alone with regrets. Esme threw herself into writing, channeling pain into a blog post about queer struggles, anonymity her shield. The viral response brought validation but also hate mail, amplifying her isolation. Society applauds from afar but condemns up close. The moral quandary deepened. Was visibility worth the personal toll? Esther, in solitude, sought counsel from a therapist, unpacking layers of internalized homophobia. I love her, but I hate what this love costs, she confessed. The session unearthed truths. Her journey from straight ally to lesbian identity had been rushed, fueled by Esme's confession. Doubt crept in. Is this authentic or reactive? Reunion came inevitably, a chance meeting at a campus cafe. Tears flowed as they reconciled, but with caveats. We need boundaries, Esme said, her voice steady. They agreed to therapy together, a step toward healing, but the scholarship loomed like a guillotine. Esther's decision crystallized after a final call home. Her mother's softened tone. We miss you, but we can't accept this, pushed her toward defiance. I'm staying, she told Esme, crumpling the letter. The choice was a sacrifice, her dreams deferred, but it solidified their bond. Yet, victory was bittersweet. Esme's family reached out tentatively, a olive branch via email. We want to understand. The gesture sparked hope, but trust rebuilt slowly, each interaction a minefield. Societal awakenings followed. Friends returning, apologies offered. But scars remained, reminders of battles fought. Esme reflected in quiet moments. We've paid dearly but gained ourselves. The story culminated in a quiet commitment ceremony with close allies, a private vow amid the chaos. Through it all, we choose each other, Esther whispered. Esme nodded, her heart full yet heavy. In the end, their journey illuminated the harsh truths of love in a judgmental world. Conflicts resolved not neatly, but through relentless choice.